Good morning. All right, so I know it's a little bit earlier than I normally stream, about half an hour earlier, but today is voting day here, and I want to get some time to go out and vote before I start work. I actually filled out the ballot last night, so it'll be just an easy sort of drop off, but it's not exactly fully on the way into work. I have to sort of get into town, then turn around and walk the other direction for a bit. So that's why I'm a little bit earlier today. Plus, I want to experiment around with maybe streaming a little bit earlier so that I can get into work earlier and then get out while it's still light. Maybe because I would like to be able to continue riding my bike, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do that when it's dark. So that's also another consideration, but that's an experiment. Now let's take a look at where we were yesterday. Right, so we had created basically the random walkers are now moving. We have 3 of them. They're the primary colors, red, blue, and green, and they're moving up and down. Swarm Logic, good morning. Oh, that's one of your own, 15. Awesome. I will open that up in another window and take a look at that later. Yeah, so Swarm Logic, I don't know if you heard, but this is sort of played around with it. I've done some games in Love 2D, and so one of my friends, friend of the stream, Danny Fritz, suggested that I play around with GGEZ since I was learning Rust anyways. So what I wanted to do was, I have this sort of like idea. I want to create an arena type thing, and where I can throw in different sort of bots with whatever logic it has. I just saw a hitch in the video preview, and that no drop frames, so I should be good still. So what I wanted to do is sort of move by almost like a grid-like pattern, which I kind of have now. And then just like right now, probably just shoot in random directions. And if it gets hit, then I'll deal with that. And then later on, I'm going to move all the bot code out into a separate area. I consider this still experimenting with the GGEZ side of things. So let's see what I want to do for that. It would be, I think maybe just, I want to Google if we could, if there's an easy way. First I should check the conf. Is there an easy way to set the speed that we're going for? I don't think there is. And I'm kind of wondering, what is the delta time that we're getting? Is it just as fast as it possibly can, like Love 2D, or is it being set to like 60 frames per second? Hello, Nolo. Good morning for me. Afternoon to you. Awesome. So you're from Coding Garden and you're reading a book. That's great. I'm super happy that you're getting into Rust now. It's a fun language. Let's see. I think what I want to do is go online to, it's going to be github.com/GGEZ/GGEZ. And I want to see what we have here for delta time. Easy timing and frames per second measurement functions. Oh, it's a good thing I didn't sneeze, because when I pressed the mute button, it didn't actually mute the microphone. So sorry if you heard that. Okay, let's see. We have our examples, implementation details. Maybe the FAQ would have this. Huh. This was not necessarily true. I had a lot of trouble getting the conf.toml file working, and I ended up needing to grab it by default, I believe. Let me double check. Because remember yesterday we were having some problems with this. Yeah, I ended up having to actually read the file manually and pass it into the configuration. Use time in your Game of Life implementation. Let's see. Okay, so there's nothing in there. I wonder if there's anything in... Oh, they have... Okay, so they have docs, building, fact, projects. Oh, those are just logos. We have guides here. I don't remember these guides having anything like the timing stuff in there. I wonder if maybe the examples have something. Canvas subframe. Event loop, maybe? This example demonstrates how to roll your own event loop. No, I definitely don't want to do that. Look for star, like literally 4-star or asterisk. Oh, timer. Let's see if timer is in their big one. Oh, they're grabbing timer there. Okay, so while timer, check update time, the context, desired frames per second. That's what it is. Let seconds equals 1, desired frames per second as F32. Interesting. Interesting that this becomes a loop here. It sort of feels a little bit strange, I guess. Let seconds equals 1.0 divided by desired frames per second as F32. Their desired frames per second way up here. Oh, I don't see that. Here it is, maybe. They're sort of around here. Where are you? Oh, I didn't even notice right here. It's within that function right a couple lines above. Okay, so they're setting the frames per second as a U32 to 60. There's a spider that moved right in the corner of my vision. As long as it doesn't move towards me, I'm fine. Okay, so update the player state based upon the user input. Then we just do all the normal things, huh? Update the physics for all the actors. What's interesting to me is that you do this while loop, and then you throw everything into here, inside the while loop. But I have to imagine it's only actually running through this once. So I'm curious about why they're using a while loop as opposed to just waiting for it to be done and blocking the main thread. But maybe the while loop, yeah, I don't know, because it can't actually run multiple times. Otherwise, these would all happen too many times, right? Because we want update to happen once per draw. Update is in its own thread? Oh. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting. It's good to know. Okay, well let's try playing around with this. So we're gonna need a timer, and then check update time to sort of set that. And from what we remember, let's see, where was it up here? It's just GGEZ timer. That's where we get it. So we'll come into here. So just as sort of a reminder from yesterday, cargo run. What I have is no. Well, apparently Rustup didn't install the cargo command into my binary. So let's see. For right now, I'll just do a source for slash cargo env. So it's a little bit faster. So I have these random walks of circles going around. And what I'm thinking of doing is make it so these are moving very, very slowly. So I want to cap the frames per second at incredibly low for what we're doing. So if we say use GGEZ timer. So we'll bring in timer. In update, we want to, inside of here, set the frames per second. So we're gonna have now they're having that be constant, and I kind of wonder like why not put the constant up here then. Good morning, Pollux. Okay, so const, I'm gonna say target FPS equals, we'll just set this to be, I'm going to do 10, maybe even like 5, because I want it to just move very, very slowly to begin with. 5.0. And I think that it's okay to have this be expected colon. Oh, it's a colon. Oh, do I have to give it a type first? So they're using U32s. I'm a little bit, I think I use just F32. All right, there we go. Now we come down into update inside of the function. Before we loop through all the walkers, we want to, that was like a robocall answer. I could try it again. Oh, good morning, Pollux. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Sorry, it's I think the spider has me off. Maybe either that or just waking up a little bit earlier than normal. All right, so let's try. We want to set. Let's go back and look at our documentation here. So inside of our update function, we want to then do while timer check update time context desired frames per second. Okay, so while timer check update time. This function will return true if the time since the last update call has been equal to or greater to the update FPS indicated by the target FPS. It keeps track of fractional frames. So if you want 60 frames per second and the game setters, so if the game stutters, so there's 40 milliseconds between update calls, this will return true twice and take the remaining 6.67 milliseconds into account in the next frame. The intention is for it to be called in a while loop in your update callback. Okay, so while timer check update time context, and then the amount of I guess the number of seconds, and then we just do the thing. Okay, I can definitely do that. Also, that's interesting. The documentation there has a parentheses around the while. I don't think that's yeah, the target FPS. You're right. I got that. I stated that wrong. Okay, so we want check update time. I'm gonna pass it. Oh, we're finally using the context, so I can underscore that. So context, and then the target frames per second. Oh, this needs to be a U32. Okay, perfect. So then this is going to be a target FPS. That means I need to tell it to be a U32. I know I could do as U32, but I figure like, oh, this needs to be just 5. Then everything in here gets moved up into the timer. And now we're going to loop through all the walkers and have them do their thing. Okay, so we have that set up. What was the next thing? Because this desired FPS, I believe, is used in a couple places. Let's see. 1 of 3 matches. So here, and let seconds equals 1 divided. So we're tracking seconds now. So let's see where this is used. 2 of 8. So this is the second place that seconds is used. Where's the first? Oh, okay. Update the player state based on the user input, player handle input, and then it's tracking. So whatever they set up a function, player handle input. You hand it a mutable reference to a player. You hand it the input from whatever main state I guess main state, and we hand it the seconds between the delta time between our desired frames per second and a second. I'm not quite sure if I'm saying that right. So it does whatever it wants to do with it. Player shot timeout is minus equals seconds. I kind of want to just see what happens if I run it without this. Just sort of like to see the difference and see what is going to happen with it. So let's run this now, and I expect to see everything running significantly slower now. Yeah, exactly. So now everything is moving way slower, which is super easy to then keep track of these as they move around. So the game that I'm eventually going to make isn't really going to take human input in. It's going to be sort of robots making choices and doing them on their own, and then we're going to sort of set some settings up in the beginning for them to move. So what we're going to need to do is probably slow them down so we can actually see what it is, unless we're running a simulation without displaying it to the screen and then just playing back at the very end. But even then, Yeah, like only when we're not going to display it do we not care about maybe like speeding it up. And that could be like a button on it. It's like, oh, just increase to maximum. That light blue, this dark blue is not necessarily good. I kind of want to change this. So we have walker's push, height, red, green, and blue. I want to change this down to not use any color, to not be passed in colors. We were doing this when we were experimenting with and trying to find how to do colors, because we were just trying a float between 0 and 255, but it was a float between 0 and 1. So in random walker new, for this one, we're not going to take the color string. Instead, we're just going to do a random color. So we're not going to match the color string. It's going to be color new and then random in there. So let color equals color new and then red. It's only 8:55. Why are you streaming already? And I have 16 people. Good morning, Stacking. I am voting today, so I need to go off to work a little bit early so that I can head off to the voting polls and still be there in time for stand up. So that's kind of the main reason why. And I'm sort of experimenting with doing this, that maybe in the future I could switch to an earlier stream and then be able to get off work early enough to ride my bike home when it's still light. Because with the time change, everything is now kind of dark at the end of the day, and I'm not super happy with that. All right, so we have RG and B, and so what I'm thinking of here is we're going to do random. Random. This is going to be an F32, and we'll just call that. I don't need to scale it up at all because this will already be a number between 0 and 1. And so I'll do the same here. And I'm going to want the alpha to be 1.0. Miguel, did I reach out about the VSync thingy? No, I forgot to do that yesterday. Although, looking, does not have the VSync problem. I'm not actually seeing it do anything crazy right now. All right, first of all, I want to save that. Oh, VSync false if I set it back to true again. All right, let's try it with the random numbers. All right, so now these should be significantly more viewable. The chance of it being more viewable is probably higher. Now I'm not getting that problem, but it might be because between each frame, I'm actually redrawing the screen, sort of like emptying it out and bringing it back in again. So that is actually, that's an interesting, basically it looks like I'm not going to need to worry about the VSync thing as long as I'm clearing the screen and redrawing it. That's interesting. Although I should probably also like actually draw some other stuff on the screen before I make that full assumption. All right, how long have I been streaming? 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes to go. And know everything's different with the earlier time. So I may still reach out about it, but it sounds like maybe I need more experimentation before I fully do that, because it's different now. Yeah. Possibly I'll see what happens when you let them draw instead of move. Possibly, yeah. Or if I do a game that has a lot more overlapping colors, or some other like big amount of color on the screen. Right now I just have sort of an empty background with some circles on it. Which reminds me, the next thing that I want to do is I want to have these sort of circles, random walkers, just shoot randomly. Let's just have them shoot randomly out. And the cadence will probably be, because I'm not sure how I'd want to do that for a game. I can do it with like one bullet fully, and they have to wait for it to finish firing before firing another one. So if I do that, there's going to be some interesting vector math that I've forgotten about because it's been over a year since I've done this. So we have 0.2, that's our vector. And of course, it will get a little bit confusing because we have the vector of walkers, but I'm talking about a vector as in just 2 points. Or rather a point or a line. So we have game state, random walker. So in random walker, I want it to have essentially a bullet. Crossbow, good morning. I want to have a bullet, and then I want to be able to fire that bullet, and that bullet should be able to move off and hit something. So if I to begin with just say, okay, the bullet can move to the right, like let's say we were only going to fire it directly to the right and not in a random direction to begin with, then we would have a vector, we have to have a velocity, and we have to have a way to update that and have it continue to move with that velocity. I don't think I necessarily need physics here because I don't want to like have air resistance or gravity or anything like that. I just want it to sort of move in a continuous line until it hits the edge of the screen or until it's done. So what I'm thinking is we'll create a bullet. So here we are with random walker. Let's I know I'm also doing this all in main, but this, in my mind, is still an experimental. This is the experiment, and then when I'm ready to actually build the real thing, this is all going to be completely scrapped, and I'm going to start all over again. But we're going to put all the code in the library and have it tested and everything else. So let's do a struct, right? So I'm going to struct bullet, and then I'm going to have a location, which is going to be at 0.2. What else am I going to need with this? We have a location. We have I guess a momentum. So a momentum, is that a velocity? So velocity is going to be a 0.2 also. This is where I'm going to end up doing vector math. So I'm going to say, okay, I want the location to equal what it is right now plus this velocity. Do I need, what's the third one? It's speed? No, that's velocity. There's, I forget what the third potential location-based vector would be. Acceleration. I don't need any acceleration because I'm not going to change the velocity. It's going to be set to whatever it is when I first start it. So okay, so location, velocity, and maybe we can also have store a state for it, like are you being fired or not? So is fired. I'm not sure if I need this. I think what I want to do is ignore this right now. I'll add it in when I need that. So to begin with, I'm just going to start with a bullet in. Maybe I'll just start it off the screen and have it fire and just move to the right, just to make sure that we can get it right. Or I can start it. I'll attach to one of the walkers, have it begin in the center of it, so we'll see like the dot in the middle of it, and it'll just be hanging there, and then fire from there. Glad to see you live. Watch some of your VODs. You're in the process of learning Rust, and the video has helped. Awesome. Well, I always love hearing that you're another person is learning Rust and coming in. Oh, Curve the Bullets. Oh man, I forgot about that movie. I don't even remember what it was called anymore. I watched it once, and I think the best scene was when the keyboard scene when the person hit them. If you haven't watched it, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so start bullets. We're gonna have our velocity. So let's do a new. So implement for bullet. We're gonna have function new. In our new function, we're going to take in wanted. What do we need to take in? I don't know if we need to care about taking in a bullet. So one question is, do I want to recycle this bullet, or at the end just like delete it? It'll be deleted from memory and then recreate a new one. And I'm kind of interested because traditionally, if I was making a game in like Lua and Love 2D, I might pre-create a bunch of bullets, take their space up in memory, and just like fire it, wait till its end, and then like once it's been killed, essentially, I put it back into like the usability state again. So like reload it up again. But I kind of wonder if that's necessary here because of Rust's memory management. Because if I can guarantee that it, as soon as it's done, it gets unloaded from memory, maybe I generate a new bullet. Maybe? I'm not actually sure what the best way to go about this is. Okay, so if I do new, we're going to want to take in a location. So I'll call this a location, which is a point 2. And we're going to have the velocity set for this. We're going to return a bullet. And what I want to do is simply return, we can actually set velocity is equal to a point 2 new. If I want this to move just in the X to the right, I'm going to want this to be like a... Oh, I'm also going to need a size. No, this is going to be just like a single point. So a single dot. But maybe I should have a size here. So I'll have a size. And this will be an F32. Okay. Velocity will be this. I then need a size. So let size equals, let's do like 2.0. Voight Camp Phil. I probably mispronounced that horrifically, so I'm sorry. An object pool is always going to be faster because you're not constantly allocated and then deallocating. That is also true, yeah. For right now, it's not going to matter because I only have 3 of these, but if I do have like 100 of these walkers on the screen, and each of them are able to fire many, many, many bullets, that would become a big problem. So you're definitely right about that. I'm going to try one for right now, and then maybe I'll create a pool in the future. So each walker could have a pool of them, and maybe they could have power-ups that increase their pool or decrease it. Okay, so we have bullet, let size equals 2. Velocity is going to be, so if we're going just to the right, so x, I'm going to want the size times 2. No, I want it to be equal to the size, so it's just moving 2 every single time. So it's going to be the size for the x and 0.0 for the y. So it just moves directly to the right. And then we want to return a bullet that has the location, the velocity, and the size. So in random walker, if I eventually might have, like for a pool, a vector of points, but for right now I think it'll just carry one bullet. They can only have one bullet. So we'll call this bullet, and it will be a type bullet. Random walker when it's new. How you represent velocity with point isn't a velocity vector, or in your implementation represent a direction. Yes, it does. So this is something that I learned when I was doing a little bit of game development with Lua and Love 2D, is that you can have a vector, which is 2 points, so 2D points on a 2D plane. So we can almost imagine like these, their locations. And so you have 2 locations, like one up here and one down here. And if you subtract them from each other, I think it's subtract them, it might be divide, you'll get the direction essentially. So you'll be able to get where you want to fire it. So then you just have it move with that sort of velocity. So you'll add to the location vector the velocity vector, and it'll move every single frame as it goes forward. So that's sort of fun vector math there. All right, so if I store this bullet in here, I don't know, like when would I want to, if I store it now, if I start it right away, as soon as I create the bullet, it's actually going to have a, it's going to have the wrong location, isn't it? I kind of want to, at this point in time, create the bullet right then. I wonder if maybe I could have like almost like an option enum where it's like none or a sum, but I don't know if I want to do that either directly in here in the structure. It might actually just be easier to have this be a vector of bullets. Or maybe, you know what the easiest thing to do would be is when I create this bullet, so it's location and size. So the velocity can be set all, well, okay. So we don't know what the velocity is going to be. We don't know what the point is going to be when it's first created. We do know what the size is going to be, and that's it. So either we're going to have to update this constantly, or we want to initialize sort of an empty bullet that doesn't know this. I'm not exactly sure what the best way to do this is. I'm thinking I have to go maybe go back and look at those old games and see like what I did. I think I just set them to null maybe. I can very easily set these to off screen until I fire at them. and then set them up again. So we could say something like the location when we instantiate a new one, maybe we handed a new location. What if I don't have a location at all? So I just do new. We need a location now. So that location equals, it's going to be a point to new. And if I do something like -5.0, -5.0, this will be off screen. So it'll be just up here. And I can have them sit up there until they're ready to be fired. Which means we do need an is fired state too. That's going to be a little bit interesting. All right, just to make things a little bit simple, let's do 5.0. 5.0. It'll show up on the screen. That way I can see that it's working. It'll be right around here. It should be white, but I'm probably gonna have to set the color for the bullet too. But maybe I'll have the color be the actual color being passed into here, which means I can pass that in. I just won't worry about that right this second. Okay, so we have location, velocity, size. We have our location. We're going to set this to be default just to show up right there. And then we want the ability to display it. So I'm not even going to update it right now. I want to have a function draw. This is going to take a mutable reference to self. And I don't think I need to worry about anything else right this second, but I may need, probably with update I will. Am I going to return anything? I don't think I'm going to return anything. Maybe like a game state, a game result. Just to make sure that everything is okay. Although if nothing is okay, then there's not really, I don't really like, I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about like the fact that this is just plain. And not like nothing, comma, error type. Okay, so in draw, I want to just simply draw this to the screen. So it's going to be graphics. Do I have actually circle brought out separately? I do. Okay, so I want circle. Oh, right. So we need the context coming in here. So we'll have context is type context. So context. Mode is the draw mode. Okay, so this is going to be a draw mode. And for this one, we'll do fill. Our point, so the location, so this will be self.location. Radius, so this will be self.size. And our tolerance is, we'll just do a 1.0 because we don't know what else to do for that. And I think that's that. What are you upset about? Oh, expected mutable. Oh, okay, suddenly expected enums and a result. Okay, so we can do that really quickly. Expected immutable reference, found structure, GGEZ context. So what we can do here is we want a mutable reference. Actually, I think it's on this side. I keep on getting those confused back and forth. Okay, so this will literally just draw the circle of the bullet on the screen right there. So we'll only have one of them, even though all three will probably be giving a bullet. Or maybe what I'll do is just for this one, let's go back and we'll only have one walker. So when we create a single walker, the first thing that the walker does is it will create a bullet and store it in here. So let bullet equals bullet new. We don't need anything, so it'll just decide where to go and where to put it. And now we can store a bullet here. And in draw, we will, for event handler in draw, we loop through all the walkers. And so we do walker.draw, but we should also tell the bullets to draw. So walker, I'll just do bullet.draw. This function takes one parameter, but 0 parameters. Oh, right. And we need to pass it the context. All right. Are there any errors? I don't think so. Let's see if the bullet just displays. So I don't know if you can see it. There is a very faint, teeny tiny little red dot up there. It's red because whatever we set the color as last, that's what it's going to show up as. So if I wanted it to be white, then I would need to like sort of redraw the color again, which wouldn't be that big of a problem. That would be pretty easy to do. Is that red or purple? It's kind of hard to tell. This might be a little bit purple. It's just like a 1 pixel line, so it's hard to see. But it is there, and so then the next thing would be we'd want to fire that. So once something has been fired, once it's been fired, we don't want to fire it again. So if it's in a fired state, have it move until it hits something. So what I want to do is for the bullet to keep track of is fired. So is fired. This will be a Boolean. And then we're going to have, this can be is let is fired equals false is fired. Okay, so that gives us the new bullet again. We're okay with that. Once we set this to be true, we're going to have an update also. So function update and here we're going to also get a mutable reference to self, and we need the context, which is a mutable reference to context. And I don't know if there's anything else that we need, so we'll just return another game result. If we need anything else, we'll sort of add that in. All right, so if self dot is fired, so if this is true, then what we're going to want to do is move it. So like just do the little bit of vector math. So we're going to want to say self.location. Now, is there any dot? I don't see that. Can I do self.location plus equals self.velocity? It'd be really nice if I could do this. Expected result. Okay, so if that, then we'll return okay. So if this just works, it'll be super nice, where the vector will just cause it to move along in here. And I want to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so cannot add a sign. GGZ n algebra point F32. GGZ n algebra U2. Okay, so can't add 2 points together. No implementation for GGEZ n algebra plus equals. The trait standard ops add assign is not implemented for GGZ and algebra. Okay, so what I could do right now is I'll just do this manually, but maybe later I'll have to like manually implement that myself. Is there a plus? Like, is there? Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. That's what I'm gonna have to do. Is there an add? No. Okay. So here's what we're gonna have to do: self.location.x plus equals self.velocity.x self.location.y plus equals self.velocity.y. All right, so should be happy now. We know that these are going to be F32s. So the question is this going to move to the right? And then because of the size thing, I want to make this maybe like 5 to make it significantly larger. So we're going to save that. Why are you all upset? Field has never used velocity. What do you... You're using it right here. Okay. It's like going crazy. Is fired is never used, except, is it because draw is never used? Or update is never used yet? All right, so we have that. Draw is self.size. Okay, so that's gonna move the appropriate amount. And velocity is the size. Okay, so that's perfect too. So now I want to, in bullet, we're going to have an update and pass it the context. So in update. Okay, so for walker in mute self walkers, we would do walker at step, walker keep in arena, and walker dot bullet dot update, and we're going to pass it the context. All right, what are you upset about? I expect it. Okay, apparently it wasn't upset about anything. So we now see the dot in the top right, but it's not moving for us, which is a little bit sad. So we have it in draw, bullet draw. It's just not, it's not updating. So we have bullet walker update. We pass it to context. So walker bullet update. We pass it into context. Is it fired? That's that might be true. We could set that beforehand. That's probably a good thing to do for a gun, is to fire it. Okay, so let's just set this to be default true. How about that? So we'll just say this is true. Good catch, Crossbow. I would have probably debugged for a little bit of time before I realized, oh yeah, that was not good. Take a look. It's now moving across the screen at the same sort of rate that these are. I could have them move a little bit faster, but so that's the general idea about how we're going to be able to do vector math. So if we figure out the vector of where we want to aim, so to begin with, we'll just have it fire randomly. But then later on, we can have it be very smart and aim at another walker and try to hit it from there. We could also have it move a little bit faster than normal moving. But that'll all be in the future, because I'm going to go get ready to head off to work so I can make the early bus and get there on time, because I left my bike at work last night because it got dark. So with that, I'm going to switch over to stream ending. I know I do have the time of I'm streaming at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and today was not exactly the same. Was not exactly that. Yeah, you need acceleration, not just linear move. Well, that's... I don't know. Like, bullets, I guess they do accelerate. I don't... I might just have it be a linear move, though, just make it really fast. As opposed to speeding up over time. That's usually what I see in games that I like, is predictability of the bullets, because I don't want them to be moving faster over time, but I might just want to increase the speed of them so that way they look more like bullets compared to everybody else moving around. But one way to do that is to speed up the FPS, but then slow down the walkers. They don't move nearly as fast. So those are all things to consider and think about. Right now they're moving decently fast, but everything is slow. The entire universe is slowed down. All right. But with that being said, I'm going to go get ready for the rest of my day, as I mentioned. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. As you can see here, I have the code I will update and send up probably later today. I did rebuild everything, and I haven't actually put my GitHub key on here yet, so I need to regenerate a new one. I'll probably do that tonight after I get home from work. I do have my location on Twitter, which I tweet out like shortly before I stream, so I did that this morning too. And I'm archiving these all up to YouTube, just in case you missed it and want to watch the other ones after YouTube sort of deletes my old videos. With that, I don't have anything else, so I will see you all tomorrow morning.